Hi guys, welcome back to my channel, Monkey Wrench. I'm Kelly, the Monkey with the Wrench. Cut. Hi guys, welcome back to my channel, Monkey Wrench. I'm Kelly, the Monkey with the Wrench. Thank you, special thank you to the 500 subscribers that have subscribed in the last 10 days. I don't know all your names, but I'll learn them. We have a project for a customer. This customer is from Puerto Rico, really nice guy. And he is interested in show pieces and mud mowers, and he likes to put his interests together. While he was here dropping this off, he showed me some pictures of the last beast that he had built, that he took to Puerto Rico and actually traded for, I'm serious, a classic pickup truck, because mowers like this are not really available in Puerto Rico too much. And he goes back and forth a lot. So he wants me to pimp his ride, as it were. Not really. The motor's supposed to be running okay, except that it's been sitting for years, so we all know that means carburetor. So I'm going to attempt to clean the carburetor and see if I can bring it back. Who knows, we could get lucky. Otherwise, I will be ordering another carburetor, and by the magic of YouTube, it'll be here today. So I'm going to be putting that on. The fuel tank is got a few inches of fuel in it, so that's got to be drained out. Everything's got to be cleaned up, make sure that it runs. That's the first thing. And he no longer wants a deck on it. He jerked his deck and he doesn't want it back. So the support bars for the deck, I'm going to take those off too, because he's never going to put it back on. He therefore never needs these two levers, the blade engagement lever, and this is the raise your deck and lower your deck lever. So I'm going to be taking those off for him as well. He wants no longer key ignition. He wants this installed. Engine start, engine cut off, and he wants me to put the headlights on the first switch and hook the battery to that so that it's no key necessary. And he said something about he's going to be putting a stereo system on this. He's going to be putting some lights on this thing. So we're supposed to be taking this and mounting it down here somewhere. Obviously center as possible, high as possible. But that's where we're going to be putting that. So there's not a lot of stuff to do on this. I'm not going to be filming a whole lot. I will show you how to remove those levers. I will show you the pins that take those support arms for the deck off. I've already taken his battery out, put it on the charger because it was dead. I said it was dead. Threw one of my highly charged batteries in there. And right now I'm going to give it a turn. Well, I'm not going to give it a turn until I get the fuel out of it. I'm going to get the fuel out the way. And I'm going to spray this thing with some carb spray and see if she will fart or bark before we go any further. Alright, so we're now draining the fuel, and it's going to take 17 hours to do so. I don't know if you can see that in there, but there is barely any fuel coming out, which means I've already taken off the fuel filter in case that was clogged, and the other piece of line. This thing just will never feed that carburetor fast enough to keep it full and this thing runs. So either there's going to be a clog in the line or there's going to be a clog in the tank. So I'm going to take this opportunity to take out this here bolt, and there might possibly be one on the other side, and I'm going to take the tank out, drain it the old-fashioned way, and see if we can blow out these lines. Otherwise they're going to have to be replaced because they do collapse over time. Okay, problem number 2 that I'm having. When you go to spin these to take the air cleaner filter off, the air cleaner cover to get to the filter, the post inside is spinning right along with it. So there's not a whole lot you can do about that. The plastic's let free, and that's on both of them. You can spin these things from now till dinner time and they will not come off. So I am not going to take that off. I'm going to go ahead and unbolt the carburetor, which has 2 bolts down here. I can get to the linkage from there, and I will just spray some fuel right into the intake to see if she'll fart. And we can replace the carburetor without having to take that cover off. I know he's trying to save money and he doesn't want me to spend a lot of time and give him a big bill, so we're going to do it that way. Alright, now because each model is slightly different, they have to get new patents every year for a new screw or some bullshit. I could not take this elbow off of the carburetor because underneath of the air filter there's a screw that holds this whole cover into this little piece which bolts onto here. And because I can't get this open, I couldn't get to that screw. So I ended up having to take this whole thing off, which is 4 bolts on this model, 1 here, 1 there, 1 there, 1 there, and they are 3/8 bolts. And you see I'm still trying to empty the fuel, hoping that it runs a little bit better, and it's just trickling. But I'll take that tank out later off camera and blow it out, make sure there's nothing in it. And you know, fuel lines are $1.50 a foot, so it'll cost them an extra $3. So anyway, now you can see your linkages. Easy peasy. Make sure your spring is on and in place. This linkage will just come out of there when the carburetor comes off. So I'm going to loosen here. I believe that's 8mm. If you look on there, you can see that there's a head. So this screws into the manifold. So I'm going to get my 8mm and I'm going to unscrew that, take the carburetor off, take the linkages off, and we're going to spray it and see if she'll bark. All right. I got everything ready. I have to sit on the seat because I got a seat safety. We're just going to see if she'll fart. I'm going to use a little carb spray. Just like that. And I just want to see if she'll spark. Make sure it's got all the electrics and all the compression it needs. Brake is in the locked on position. And there she goes. She runs. She rides. So the next thing I'm going to do is get the new carburetor and see if it fits after I have a cold soda. A customer's tractor. He's turning this into a mud mower. So far I have emptied out the fuel tank, tried to clean the carburetor, got her to run, but not very well. The new carburetor that I bought was the wrong one, so in a few more days when another one gets here, she will be back in running condition. Now in the meantime, what he wanted me to do was take out the key switch. He didn't want to deal with keys anymore, and he wanted me to wire this access panel on there. Start button for starting, on off switch there. Now I want to show you how easy it really is to figure out what's going on and to bypass what you need to bypass in order to rewire one of these things. So all I've done, and I want to show you before I mount the switch panel, because I can get to everything out here. All I've done is taken the key. This is the back of the key. This is the front of the key. I took this out of the console so that I could put it back there. And what I was looking to do was find 2 wires. So I used my handy dandy test light, which you can put on any ground anywhere. And I wanted to find my all the time power. This is power that's coming from the battery to this key switch. Whether the key switch is on or not, whether the key switch is hooked up or not, does not matter. So I took my test light and I probed all 5 holes until my test light came on, and I found that it was this red wire with a white stripe. Now there happens to be 2 of them on here, but I only need 1. That's my permanent power source. That's the same as touching the battery to whatever you're attempting to do. So I took that, and then I used a jumper wire, and I went from that connector hole, and I went on all 4 of the other ones until I found it where when I touched it with the jumper, the solenoid clicked over and the starter tried to start the engine. Started rotating the engine. Then I knew which wire came from here, went to the solenoid, closed the solenoid, and started the motor. So now that I have those two wires, all I did was attach them. They just screw into this particular panel. It doesn't matter which side you put it on because this is a normally open switch, and when you push it and hold it, you close that switch until you let it off. So all I had to do was take the power wire and the solenoid wire, put them on this switch, and now I have rotation. Now here's the question. What I needed to know was how to kill the engine when we were finished. Now on your magneto here, I actually have a spark tester set up because I wanted to test two things. One, I wanted to see, now that we bypassed the key switch, if I release the brake, would I still have spark? And the answer is no. So that safety switch is still in the line and it's still working. If I release that brake and hit that start button, there will be no spark coming through my spark tester. So I went ahead and locked the brake back in place because I want to show you something else, and I don't know whether you'll be able to see it or not because I don't have three hands and I have a broken tripod. So I'm gonna kind of zoom. What the hell just happened? And I want to see if you can see the spark. The spark will be right here. Whether you can see it or not, that is sparking. So now on the magneto, there's a wire that attaches to the magneto. All I had to do was find it. Here it is coming right through there. And if the tractor is running, all that happens when you turn the key off is that it uses this wire to ground to any steel part of the frame, and it takes the spark away. So now, in order to test it, because it's not running yet, I have to push the start button and hold it, and then I have to ground this on there somewhere, anywhere that's steel, and see if my spark goes away. And now, oops, there's my spark. Spark went away. You may or may not be able to see that on camera. He's not going to be using this as a lawnmower anymore. It's just going to be a mud mower, so he just wants it to start and shut off and the extra switches to run lights and things. But I wanted you to see how easy it was to find the correct wires with nothing but a test light and a spark checker to make sure that you're killing your spark and hook that thing up. Okay, now that I have it all hooked it up, I was checking on my wiring again, so I put my spark arrestor back on, or my spark tester back on there. I ran the ground from the magneto up to the panel, and on the right side you'll see that's what this wire is right here. And then from here, from the top of that same switch, I just ran this down and I ground it right to that bolt right there so that it was grounded. So now when the switch is in the on position, it doesn't make a connection and the spark goes where it needs to go. And when you press that to the off position, it connects those two wires and grounds out your spark, takes away your spark, your motor dies. Now the only other thing that I did on this very basic wiring was I took the constant power, which is the red with the white stripe, I put it on the start switch, and this is the wire that goes to the starter solenoid that closes the solenoid and sends power to the starter. All I used was a template that I made out of a cereal box, which is around here somewhere. Okay, so I made it the approximate size of the switch itself, and then the inside cutout, I marked it right there, and I cut it out with a grinder. Let me see if I can get you closer so you can see the switch panel in place. So that was the best place to put it, right there. So now, right now, there's no power to anything. You flip this up, you flip that toggle switch to the up position, and you hit the start button. Now the engine's running. The carburetor's not on it yet, but now the engine is running. To shut it off, all you have to do is flip that back down. That takes away your spark and cuts the engine. So that's a very basic wiring setup. Now when he goes to run the lights to one of the other 3 switches, all he has to do is run power from the wire to the bottom, power from the switch to the light he's trying to hook up, and then he'll just attach the ground somewhere on the body, and then he'll have a switch that'll work his headlights, his stereo, anything like that. He just wanted that thing cut out, mounted in the console. I used self-tapping screws to put it in place for those. And that's it. So if you wanted to see how easy it was to wire one of these suckers up, that's it. Now what I'm doing next is taking off these levers he doesn't need. He's no longer going to be cutting with it. Probably said that already. So I'm taking off the height adjustment lever and the PTO lever that engages the blades. We're taking those off and getting them out of the way for him. And I forgot, clearly, I had to take out the gas tank so that I had plenty of room in there to get to my panel. Now that's all behind the steering column, and the gas tank stays to the front of the steering column. So nothing's in the way of anything. Now I can go ahead and put my fuel tank back on there and hook that up. When the carburetor gets here, it'll be running. Alright, now because this is going to be a show mower and not a mower, I'm going to be taking off the 2 stabilizer arms underneath that stabilize the deck. Now that's real easy to do, because all I literally have to do is take out 1 bolt at the top of each one. So, alright guys, this is the finish up on this tractor for my customer. It's been a week and I've been doing a bunch of stuff. The $75 zero turn is done. I've already cut grass with it. I love it. So this is the one, let me give you a quick recap, that the carburetor was shot on. I know that's not where the carburetor goes. That's his old one he can have. He wanted this racing setup wired in so it would be push button start and toggle stop. Let's see. Charged up his battery, put on a new carburetor right there, brand new. What else did he want? I took off the 2 levers, blade engagement and lift, rise and lower, because he's not putting the deck back on there. And hint, when you take off the blade engagement, there is a switch under there that you have to rewire, or in the very least close it and make sure it stays closed. It's a safety switch which won't allow you to start the machine if the blades are engaged. So you have to trick it into thinking that the blades are not engaged, which is pushing the button on that switch behind there. I had this wired up very basically. I did not change the lights for him. That's something he's going to have to do. So let me just show you that the push button works, because my camera is apparently dying. I don't have much time. So sorry if you can't see much, but right now there is no key. Took the key out, put it up on choke, flip up your off, your kill, flip up the switch, hit the button. To kill it, you flip that down. In order to start it, you have to flip that up, and there's a toggle switch under there. You flip to the up position, hit the start button, turn it back off. So the other 3 switches he's going to set up, one for a stereo, one for headlights, taillights, whatever he chooses to put on there. And all he has to do is run a positive power line to one side of each toggle and then run the other power line from the other side of that toggle to whatever he's trying to run, and then run a ground from that to the body somewhere. So he just wanted this thing wired up. Basically, he's going to do the wiring on the extra switches now that everything's in place. The only thing left is to take off those stabilizer bars underneath, which is just one bolt in each, and I'm about to do that. He does have a tire that keeps going flat, so I'm guessing he's going to put a tube in there. But the rest of them have been holding air for the length that it's been here. So this thing is ready. I am not going to drive it. I don't see any reason to. When it came to me, it didn't run at all. So we got it running. Sounds good. Starts right up, wired into the switch panel he wanted, and all the rest of the crap out of the way. So if you made it to the end of the video, I'm sorry if I said the same thing over and over. I filmed this over the course of a few days. So I'm going to try and take this one into the computer. I'm going to use my landlord's computer, see if I can edit this down into something usable. And if you have any questions or comments, you know what to do. Leave them down below. Hit the subscribe button. It's somewhere between my chin and my balls. And thank you to almost 3,500 subscribers already. Let's get to 4,000. You guys rock. We'll see you soon.